Hi, everyone. Foundational and familial topics in the family system. So I'm back here with Washington, so welcome again.
Thank you.
And what I wanted to bring up awareness of, because we gave the homework now, and the homework was to find what are your family topics, traits. What is your traits? What's your family traits around money? What's your country's traits? What's your community's traits, religious traits? So now that you have them, I was just saying to Washington how his grandmother, or how to not allow them, so not to allow them to affect you, but also what to do to change them. So we're just having this conversation of moving forward now. So in the webinar, we're going to work with clearing them, but I also want to give you the tools to move forward, or the awareness to move forward, because they can pop up. You can work with them, clear them, but if your heart is not really in it fully, and your will is not in it, when you have an argument, for example, with your husband or your wife, then they can be thrown into the system onto your husband, and you're back into the same old pattern again. But now you're aware of it and you've more responsibility. So I want to really bring your awareness that you need to follow through with this as well. Washington, any shares?
Yeah, so for me, first I'll talk about marriage. And if I talk about marriage, this is where last time I was saying sometimes if there is a certain family or community that believes maybe in the house, maybe a man is more powerful than a woman, or he's superior. So those are some of the points. If there is some issues like those ones, this is where you might find to change after breaking that belief, after going about it. You want to bring the equality, the balance in the system. So what you do, we normally start allowing now, if you have a conversation in the house, you, how can I say it, like you intro, no,
You need to introduce
yeah,
a new behavior
a
pattern.
new behavior, and at least you have to bring the wife at least to contribute in the matters of the house. If you have something to discuss, at least you can inform the wife, and you can tell the wife, okay, I think for this topic, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinion, and I'll give my opinion. So it's like balancing now the system. So that's how you have already broken the walls. So this, you are now generating a new foundation.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. What's coming up for me is when exactly we experienced it when live in Shella as well, in Kenya. And I remember when we first moved there, I could feel there was tribism in the system. So, for example, if we all went out for a restaurant to eat something, um, I could feel the tribalism coming up in the system towards Washington because we're white, and I could feel that he was local, but he's from a different tribe. So it was interesting. We had to bring in a new way of breaking the system. And that was, for example, we're eating out, you would offer to pay the bill.
Yeah.
That created a complete shock to the system, but they actually changed the system. I don't, can you talk about that? Because you experienced that yourself. That was quite strong.
Yeah, I experienced that. So we used to go like in a restaurant, and if you come to Africa or like in Kenya, they see a white person is the one who has money, and the black one, he doesn't have money. So in their mind or psychologically, this is what's there. So if they see me in the restaurant, I'm the local, but there is no that respect, because also the person who is serving me is totally coming from a different how can I say
Tribe.
it? Tribe, from a different tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So on the table, I'll get the minimal service, and and the white will get the higher one, because the black one, he doesn't have money, and also he comes from a different tribe. So these are some of the things we experience. So it doesn't matter that I'm in Kenya. No, still there is that how can you call it?
Difference, or
So
yeah,
yeah,
it was active,
differences. Yeah, it's very, not it was, it's very active.
very active.
Yeah, so we experience them. So that's why these are some of the things we are talking about. You can be in your own country, but you're facing the same. So it doesn't mean I have to go to another country to face it, or you have to move to another country to face it. No, you even face it within your community because they see you. Even it's also applicable in some families. If one of you is rich and the other one maybe he's not well in financially, he's not well or she's not well, always the respect will go to the one who has the higher
Income,
in the higher
or
income.
education.
Yeah, the high income, the high education, and that's what they believe, like you cannot be respected if you don't have anything. Yeah, so you might find you are even the firstborn, and because you are not good, I mean, you're not stable financially, and the lastborn is well, how can I say it? So the lastborn, the financial
It's
status
higher.
is higher than you, they'll respect the lastborn and not you. So these are some of the beliefs we have to go about them. Whether you have or you don't have, we must be equal. Yeah.
And I
So
have to finish with that. It really cracked the system when you would give a tip.
yeah. So, but now there are so many ways to break this. So, so we came up with a way. How can we break this system that if I go to a restaurant with, let me say, with Damien or Sergio or with someone else who is white, so, and I want the treatment to be same and not to be seen like someone who just went there for the sake of. So we came up with this
Strategy.
strategy of tipping. So if they ask the bill, it's me who is paying the bill. And after paying the bill, I tip the guy who was serving us, or the lady who was serving us. So now it changed. Next time when we go to the next restaurant, so they are receiving us all equally. And this is how we did
Change the system.
change the system, like with the tip. So sometimes uh, these walls we are saying we want to break, sometimes they just need something small to deal with them. So they don't need so many struggles or so many things to deal with them. No, you just have to sit down, come up with a strategy, simple one, and you do everything
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. Because of course, it was coming from me. Okay, now everyone's equal, and I want to speak it out. But we're like, okay, let's do it in a better way. Let's create a new system. So for me, it's always about coming up with a strategy of changing a system by creating a new system. So it's it's really strategic to create new systems. So if you find a very strong behavior pattern, you don't have to fight against the family system behavior pattern. You honor it, you respect it, but then you come in with a new system by creating a new way of living, a new way of making choices, new belief systems, um, sharing that way, or bringing them into it. I know, for example, when a few years ago I had a lot of problems with my own family system about I didn't take the thing, and I had a lot of information of how to heal the body, how to clear the body, how to keep it on, on pristine level. And so what I did was I invited, or I shared with everybody um some different things which are helpful, but I put it out in a way that I wasn't trying to teach them, that I wasn't against them for their belief systems or what they've taken or they haven't taken. I was simply offering, saying, oh, this was really useful for me. I just want to say, if anyone's interested, it's there. If you want to try these ingredients or these different herbs or different vitamins, they work from my experience, and maybe it's helpful for somebody. And of course I got a very nice answer from everybody, and they really respected me for that, because I was going against the family belief system of medicine. And there's many ways you can do that and you can recreate a system. Um, I know, for example, there was a lot of um, different centers that have been set up that I supported over the years. They were healing centers, and they would go into a village or to a community, and they had a lot of conflict for being in that community, and the local community wanted to throw them out. And anytime I would go there, I I would sit with them and say, okay, but you never opened up to the community's gifts. You never opened up. For example, there was people who were vegan or vegetarian or healing through the food, and they were judging the locals for eating pork or eating meat. So I was saying to them, but you haven't honored the elders, who this was their gift to their children by cooking pork or eating meat. So I invited them to be open to the ingredients of the local community and to honor them all and then share your gifts. And when you come in from that way, you're invited into the system, and the system will be with you rather than against you. So as Washington said, I find that when you come across a family trait or a country trait, the first reaction usually is to fight it. I'm going to change it. I'm going to fight it. I'm going against it. But for me, my experience always was to create a new system, a new way of behaving, a new belief system, a new way to enter a system, a new way to present a system. And this way, it's an opportunity for everyone rather than fighting the system. That was my experience.
But okay, about fighting
Uh-huh.
the wars. Okay, so there is something else
Yeah,
I'll
please.
talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when it comes to, let me talk about prosperity. Okay, so in some families, if there is this belief that we don't prosper or we normally not go beyond these limits, okay, so after breaking this kind of belief or trait, so what I know, when the devil is fighting you, it's fighting you when it is in its comfortable zone. So, and because it's in its comfortable zone, and for you have to find your own comfortable zone also to fight it. Yeah, you cannot fight the devil in its own comfortable zone, like it's okay. So, what I normally believe it is, if you are somewhere and you feel like everything is not moving, if I try to do something, it's not moving, I'm not going above these limits. So for me, what I normally believe, at least you have to look for a way at least to move. I don't know if you understand me.
Mm-hmm. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
because if I am staying here and I feel things are not moving, I'm trying to make ends to meet, but they are not. So it means whatever I'm fighting with it's around. Or I'm talking about the community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the community, not in the house you are living or staying. No, I'm talking about the community. So to move is energetically, and the way you have to think, and also you have to come up with a strategy of now wanting to interact with successful people, if I might say so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People with ideas, business people. So those are some of the people you have now to start interacting with. But once this belief is still in you, it normally blocks you. You cannot have interaction with these people, like successful people, business people, these people. You cannot have any interaction with them, because if you interact with them, then that's a sign of prospering. So after breaking this trait or this belief that we normally not succeed or normally not go this beyond, so after dealing with it, now you have to start looking for these people to interact with them, business people, people with good ideas, people with big minds. So that's now the way of starting now, moving from that step to another step. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. So I've experienced that personally myself because there was a huge conflict in my family system of prosperity, and this was really blocking my life system. And I was very aware how it came up in my system, but I intentionally had friends who were more creative and more open-minded around finances, about amount abundance, and about lifestyle, life qualities, and they really helped me to move out of these old family traditional belief systems or blockages, because it really was like a block about don't show you're successful, don't show your finances, don't enjoy them. It was all very strong in my family system. So for me, I was very strategic in a way. Well, I was guided to be strategic to to have friends who had a different, similar mindset of Damien rather than my family system. And we had fun with it, and we had joy with it, and we enjoyed it, and we created together, and we moved together in a new field. And it wasn't in a using way, it was more of an inspirational way. So for me, it was very important from day one to see, like for me, if I see success, this is one thing I feel which helped me a lot as a child, because it was just in me, was I was never envious of anyone's success. And this is really something that if it comes up in you, to watch it and to celebrate somebody's success. But if you go into a state of celebration of somebody's success, you actually unknowingly to yourself, you're becoming that frequency by bringing this celebration into the system. So to really break the systems, I would bring up conscious, say, okay, I have got prejudice in the system, I have envy in the system, I have financial limits in my system. So I'm going to take action and go over them. And that is simply taking small steps. Like it could be giving a tip, it could be buying yourself a present, it could be going that bit more of buying something luxurious for yourself and enjoying it and experiencing it. And it's very interesting how the universe works. It's almost like if you really honor the quality of life, for me in prosperity, it's about what qualities can something give to me and the people around me. So if I'm living a really quality life, it means, to me, it means how is it affecting my spirit? Is it helping me to, I'm here in Athens, I'm front of the Parthenon. How does that help me? It helps me a lot because I feel the connection very strong. It's helping my spirit to feel good, to evolve, to grow, and then it's helping everybody I work with as well. So each location is giving me different qualities. So everything you do in life gives you a quality, and every interaction gives you qualities. And sometimes you may feel like, oh, I don't want to be around that person because they're negative, but maybe there's an amazing quality there that you haven't acknowledged and recognized. So for me, what helps me a lot when my prejudice comes up, and I mean my ancestral prejudice comes up in the system, is to acknowledge the qualities of that person or that tradition or that country or that community, to always look for the qualities in the system, because if you put the intention on the negatives, you will get the negatives. But if you switch your system and say, no, let's honor the qualities of these people, let's honor the qualities of this land, let's honor the qualities of the Greek people, let's honor the qualities of living here, let's honor the qualities of my system, and then the system will respond in a different way. So it wasn't just normal in me to look for the qualities, because I had to go switch the system from seeing the negative in everybody and seeing the prejudice in everybody because I'm from a different land. And I had to break through that by saying, no, I'm looking for the qualities. I'm interested in the qualities. So when I meet people, I'm I'm there looking for the qualities. And if someone tells me about a person, I do not let that into my system. I take notes, but I want to see how's my relationship with that individual, because we're all creators with different topics. And if I set the intention, no, everyone's an individual and they change all the time, they're different from yesterday even. I'm always being present with the system and allowing that person a new opportunity to present themselves from me and me to them as well. Because yesterday I had prejudice, maybe I've cleared, maybe they've prejudice, they've cleared, and now we have a new reaction. So for me, it's about being present, accepting what's in the system, and really accepting, okay, my family system has this topic tendency to judge people, tendency to blame people, tendency to be look for the negatives, tendency not to like maybe rich, successful people, tendency not to be around educated people. So this these things you need to overcome in your system. I know, and by being around people, by getting out into life, and by bringing in new choices and new belief systems. For me as well, I remember another one as well, which I think is strong for me, was in my family system. There was a lot of on both sides dyslexia in the system, so there was a lot of low self-confidence about education, about schooling, and around the doctor was the god. And I remember when my one of my partners was a doctor, and I brought the doctor into the family system. It was like bringing God to the family system, you know. But it was interesting. Then all my friends were doctors as well, and it was interesting how I could break through these belief systems in me to realize, okay, we have another human in front of us who's just like me. So it helped me a lot to really stay present with the person in front of me. But there was a lot of not prejudice, but putting myself down, saying you're below the doctor, you're below the doctor. Who are you, Damien? Who are you? Coming up from my ancestors, but it wasn't from me. It was my ancestors, and it was pulling me back. I remember the first uh, dinner we went to with a lot of my partner's colleagues, and everybody was a doctor there, and I was the only one who wasn't. That was very intimidating for me. The first dinner I had, and it really popped back up. I was watching my system react to it and how my insecurities were coming up, but they weren't mine, they were my ancestors. And that was really, really a helpful experience for me to that all my best friends were doctors, and we interacted in a very normal way. And it was breaking all these old differences that were in my family system around doctors. So for me, I felt very comfortable around medical doctors and being in a medical practice, which then helped the work later because I worked with a lot of doctors. So this is how I broke the system. I broke the system by being around doctors. I broke the system by having friends of doctors. My first system was to say, Damien, you're not educated like them. You're different. They're better than you. They have a different level of consciousness than you. And then I started to see the differences. Okay, I had different qualities. We have different qualities, and I start seeing everybody as a human, rather than what my ancestors were putting in the system. So yeah, I'd say look into the system, feel the system, be aware of what's in your system, and break it by taking action and stepping into life.
Yeah.
Anything coming up for you?
Yeah. And I can also talk about anger. Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. So, like, if you feel there is anger in the system, or you believe our family, there is anger in our family, or yeah, something like that. So, for me, if you have done with breaking that wall, so you might, I mean, you have to be so keen sometimes. So if someone talks to you in a rude way, obvious there is anger that comes up. Yeah. So you're not supposed to stoop to that level of that person to respond in a rude, I mean in a rude or anger. Okay, you understand like that? Yeah. So sometimes you just have like to keep quiet first. If you feel the anger is coming up, the first thing you have to know, okay, this is something I'm breaking. So you have to cool, because you have already realized anger it is in the system. So whenever someone tries to provoke you, when you feel like the anger is coming up, you have to talk to it. You have to command it. Like, I am breaking you and I can see you're still coming. So I know you and you'll not take over me. So cool, and I don't want to experience it again. So you have to cool, take your time, and we normally say from our tribe, like, you better be a coward but live longer. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because if someone provokes you and you feel anger, and when you are in anger, you can do anything that it's not good. So you can even kill someone just within seconds because of anger. You can have like you can make decisions, so bad decisions out of anger. So, and these are something that can, I mean, they can affect your life because of 2 minutes of anger. Then you do something that can ruin the rest of your life. So that's what I'm saying. If you feel like this wall, you've been breaking it, and you feel like the anger is coming up, it's good to keep calm first. So in order to do any decision, or in order to say anything from your mouth, it should not be out of anger. Yeah.
And for me, I see it in I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
So for me, if anger opens in the system, these are wounds from the lower chakra, okay? So they open up. Now, these wounds, when they open up, they are about separation, explosion, explosive destruction. So if you have someone who triggers you and these explosive patterns come up, they're usually not related to the person in front of you. It's usually they opened it up in your system, but it's belonged to another time and space. So for me, it was really, it took a lot of practice because my system wanted to react with the person. It came up, my ancestral anger came up, I was like, I want to kill them. It was really explosive. So a destroyer energy, I'll burn the house down. I don't care if I burn the house down. That type of energy was in my family system and in my system from suppressed anger. So a lot of these wounds were opening. So when they were opening, I really needed to sit with it and address it and say, okay, this does not belong to this time and space. It belongs to another time and space. And I allow the energy to go back to where it belongs. I invite the energy to go back to where it belongs. And I know it doesn't belong to this person. I know some of it does, but not all of it. Probably 95% belongs to another place and a little percent allows to this space. So I used to have to really watch my system and say to my system, I'm not giving you this power. I'm not giving you this power, because my nervous system wanted to bring it up and react immediately. And I like my system wants to react and have a fight. So it was very interesting when I worked with and cleared in my system, how I could go back to Dublin, for example, or my family, and my brother and sister there arguing, and I could see the old version of Damien standing up arguing with them. And I was just watching myself and said, wow, I'm so proud of myself. I'm not doing that anymore. I see it that it's a family pattern, but it's not Damien. It's not me. So when I'm in my heart, in my 0 point, I'm not playing out that field. And if I stood up and with my brother and sister and start arguing, it's hitting my nervous system, it's hitting my whole system, and I fuel it up, but it creates more. So I had to train myself to sit down and observe it, or go for a walk, observe it, but not let the anger control me. I am controlling the anger. I am the master of my being. I am the master of my nervous system. I am the master of my anger. So I invite it to sit down. And I sit down and observe it and invite it to go back to the origin, because that gives me a possibility to heal this wound completely. And then the next time I'm triggered, it won't affect me because it's not there anymore. So it's a gift. So I used to say to the system, wow, this is a gift. I'm being triggered, so it's not controlling me anymore. So I always bring a little bit of humor into the system and say, okay, it's given me opportunity to go into the aggression, which belongs to my system, my parent system, my ancestor system, and I'm breaking it. But when I break it, it's a gift, because when I go through it and allow the energy to go back to where it belongs, it's going to clear, it's going to heal, and I can't be affected by it anymore. If I am affected, it'll be on another level, but this level is cleared. And that's how I worked with breaking the systems. by observing, giving it space, letting it go back to the origin, and knowing it's not mine. This is not my spirit. This is a wound from my past or my ancestors' past, but it's not me. It's not my spirit. And that's how I worked with it. When you're mentioning about the devil, it's interesting. I have worked a lot with people who are really taken over in aggression, in violence, in separation because they have a lot of wounds open. The little imprints I told you about, they have a lot of wounds. So they threaten to hit me, kill me, whatever. And I'm sitting there in this 0 point state. So I'm in my heart space, I'm grounded, I'm connected to the heart of the person, and the person's threatening me, wants to punch me, wants to put a chair over my head. And I'm sitting there in this state, not allowing my system to go into separation by simply staying in the 0 point. And every time I did that, I never had a problem. And the person then transformed into pure love and connection. And we had a really good time after that. But it took a lot of practice for me to stay into that state. So I would say when you notice these programs opening up, when you notice these traits opening up, observe them and make a new choice. Make a new choice. You need to make a new choice. You need to bring a new strategy to the board. You need to bring in a new behavior pattern, which is superior in a way than that one. And I mean that with no judgment. It's a more highly evolved level of consciousness, which you need to bring to the table. And it's not to manipulate the situation of the person, it's another opportunity for growing and connection to the system, and the system will grab it then at that point. That's my experience.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Washington. Thank you, everyone. So that's just a few tips when you notice these traits coming up, because I'll work deep in the systems. We'll do it deeply in the with the family topics, your community topics, your country topics, your own topics. So we work with this in the webinar, and then you can work like what the tools we were both talking about on then what to do after the webinar. What to do after the webinar. It's about how to rewrite a new behavior pattern. So now when I'm triggered, I'm not allowing the system to take me over like before. And that is by choice. It's not my first response. My first response is I want to get up and, but it's not there anymore. It's different now at this point. If I'm triggered, I say, oh, there's something from my childhood, open up and just give it space and time, and it goes back to the origin, and it will heal. And this person helped me to heal it, so that's a gift too. That's basically it. So yeah, we'll be working deeper in the webinar, clearing much deeper in the webinar. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you there. It's really exciting, and see it like a treasure hunt. I always see all these things like a treasure hunt, not a hindrance, like a treasure hunt. I want to bring the right intention to the system and see it in a lightful way, not a heavy way, not a burden. Okay, super.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're breaking I call it the walls.
Yes.
When breaking these walls, you have to be using you have to use a commanding language. You have to command it. If it's like barrenness in the family, this is what they believe, there is barrenness in the family. So obviously there is someone in the family who is barren. So these are some of the things you just have like to command. Like they believed there is barrenness in the family, but I don't believe that. And for me, I am fertile. So I command you, if you are the spirit of barrenness in the family, and that's what you have made people of the family to believe you are a part and parcel of our family, then I'm commanding you out of me. I am fertile. So like have to be using commanding languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very strong. Yeah.
You have to use like commanding language.
And that commanding language is for yourself to say, I've cleared it, not to say, have I cleared it? That's a very tricky one. Have I cleared it? You can do all the work and then you say, oh, ask someone else, oh, have I cleared it? Well, sorry, you just lost the results now. It's up to you to know you've cleared it, to go forward into the system. And it's up to you. So the commanding language would be, I accept I've cleared it. I accept I'm having a new experience. And even if there's a residue there, I accept I've cleared those levels, but there's other residue there, and that's cool because I'll clear them too. So that is how you can do that. It's interesting when you were talking, another story opened up, a experience I had. I was we myself and my partner at the time, she was Japanese, and we went into from an apartment to a traditional housing estate. And what popped up was incredible. It was like, oh my God, she's going to move in with the family and have a Chinese van selling food outside the door. And we were like, I can't believe it, you know. So what we did was that we did it with fun because the whole estate was against us. It was amazing how the prejudice was in the system. So there was a gathering of the whole estate, the community. There was a meeting of the community, of everybody meeting each other. So what we decided to do was she dressed in her native Japanese costume, and we went there, and she looked beautiful, but it was like really, she came as herself, okay? And then we start opening up about the cooking and the food and the health benefits. And it was amazing that there was a wall against us when we walked into that room. And within, say, 15, 20 minutes, it was gone, and we were invited to everybody's house, and everybody was interested in learning how to cook from my wife, and yeah, became my wife. But it was interesting how the system switched. So we switched the system by bringing gifts to the system without judging them, honoring that they were judging us, honoring that they had different belief systems, and honoring that they saw us as a threat to their estate, to their livelihood or their children, whatever. So we brought in new gifts, and by bringing new gifts to the table, they welcomed us, and we were really honored and respected in the community after that meeting. So we didn't go in fighting the system. We brought in dignity to ourselves, honor to ourselves, and we created a new system by talking about our, the culture, the gifts, and opening up to hearing from their traditional foods and their gifts as well. And then my wife was interested in learning how to cook different Irish dishes as well. So there was really a lot of respect and honor in the system then at that point. So that's how we address that. Rather than fighting it, creating more walls, we says, okay, how can we be strategic to open their mindsets and open their systems? And it worked. So
Yeah,
just some tips.
I have something more.
Yeah.
I have something more. So when we are going now to deal with these familial traits, like breaking them, I understand in some of our families, there are some things our ancestors they did, they knew, but maybe they had no one to give them that knowledge you are getting maybe right now. So they could do it maybe even before now. They could break these walls even before now, but maybe they didn't have this information. So they lived in that situation, and that's why currently maybe we have inherited the same life. So, and I'm very much sure these ancestors, if maybe they did not do it, it's now a good time also to invite them.
Very important.
It's very good to invite them and tell them, you are in this life, you are in this situation, this is what you believed, but for me, it doesn't work. So there is a part that works, and there is another part that's not working. So you have to invite them. After inviting them, you tell them, have a meeting. Tell them, so I'm here and I want to fight for this family about this trait or about this belief that's affecting most of us. It's affecting like everyone. So whatever I need from you ancestors, I need support. The support, that's the wisdom and the strength. So when I'm going to break these walls, I'm saving the whole family. So I need wisdom, strength from you. I need cooperation from you. So when I'm going to do it, I need you to be around. We want to do it together for the good of the family.
Mm. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
so that one, that will be easy because, no, okay, it will be easy. That's what I mean, because you have a support from even the ancestors, because they'll be backing you, because they had know this information, or they were not in a position to do it. But now, because you're in a position to do it, they can give the support that you are there. So you have to serve the family. Okay, we can help you. For us, the ancestors, maybe we had no time, or we had no information, or we didn't know, or we were comfortable with the situation. Yeah, but now the current, how can you call it?
Situation is
The current
different.
situation is totally different. You're not comfortable, so you have to invite them. Okay, you are comfortable. You didn't break, but now, for now, we cannot tolerate with it. So I want strength, I want wisdom, I want support from you for the sake of the family, for the sake of the next generation. I want you to help me to break these walls. And yeah,
It works.
yeah, it works.
And that's why, for example, in every session I do, in every webinar, you'll see me doing front and back and front, left and right. The reason is in every session I do, and every time I work with myself, I always honor that when I say front supports the back, it means that I'm sending everything I did in the session, this new awareness, which they didn't have the opportunity to be in the session or have that level of awareness or gifts. So I share it with my ancestors because I know that they were in a different time and place and they didn't have access to that. So I'm very fortunate and blessed to have access to new levels of consciousness, which came true from spirit. But spirit didn't share that knowledge back there, or maybe they had it and we lost it. So that's why I was saying in every session is front supports the back, meaning I'm sharing with my ancestors. And then when it goes back to my ancestors, I also honor that they've changed and they're sharing it back with me and my children in a new way. So it's always this constant honoring and respect that I changed, but also now my ancestors has an opportunity to change because I've changed. Now my ancestors can change, and then because they've changed from this new information, they've grown. But now they can send that to me, and now I've grown again, and then I send it back, and they've grown again, and I keep this wave running in the system, and then I'm constantly growing, but they're growing too. So we're helping each other. Left and right is representing feminine, masculine, because all the ancestors have feminine, masculine topics too. So it's honoring that I've evolved, I've changed my relationship with my feminine, masculine. My feminine, masculine's different now, and we're having a new relationship. So I honor the differences, but it's also working the DNA level, and all the ancestors have the opportunity to change the feminine, masculine within their system. So in every session and every time I work, it's very easy for me not to do that. But I'm really conscious saying, and my system always wants to finish up the webinar and not do that. But I had to say, no, Damien, this is a gift and I know it works. And I know I need to give everything back to the ancestors because this is a unique opportunity that I just received. And I want to share that with my ancestors. And then my ancestors want to share it back with me and vice versa. So this is why in every webinar I do, I'm always working with front and back and front, left and right, above and below, below and above, because we've cleared the patterns. And I'm also using it in a way that we're resetting the DNA, the physical, and all the aspects on the soul level. So the ancestors are always in the system and always evolving as we're evolving. God is evolving, creation is evolving, consciousness is evolving, and we're all at this level on this planet at the moment with a level of consciousness because this is what's being broken through at the moment. But always, when a new level or when a topic comes up in the field, spirit always gives you the consciousness and the gift to transform it. And this is what this webinar is about. It's the gift, and all the webinars are about that. They're all the keys for transforming what the system brought up already. So there's really a beauty and an honoring in the system for the ancestors, and then for them to you, for them to you, and they celebrate you, and they accept that you're living a different life to them. They accept it. They just need a little bit of acknowledgement. That's all. They accept it and they're interested in the way you're living your life different than they lived. So they're really curious. So, but first is not to judge them or disrespect them, is to accept that they're different and they were living the best they could back there. So that was different, you know. So now it's different. And I'm in a different time and space, and I have more access to different tools that they didn't have, and vice versa. So just honoring your ancestors is really key for breaking these systems. They're not your enemy. They are with you. They support you. It's about what is your intention? Always the intention is the key. What is your intention of changing the system? And intention is that I honor the ancestors' differences. I honor what they couldn't fight through, but I can do it now, and I'm breaking it, and I'm behaving different, and my health is different, and my life is different. And I share this back with them, the wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Washington. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for your time and space, and your ancestors too, our own ancestors. And yeah, I'll see you at the weekend. And I look forward to really, when one person comes to a webinar, they're coming with all their ancestors. And that is such a gift and such an honor to hold space for the ancestors because they deserve it. As you deserve it, they deserve it. And you're the representative in the family who's chosen to step forward and be in the ones supporting the ancestors to break what they couldn't break because they also want to break these old belief systems. So it's just the ego part of the astral body which is creating the wall, and you can break through it. And they're proud of you. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
and thank you to your ancestors too. Enjoy.